Welcome to Stampscapes Live, or if you're watching this on replay, thanks for checking it out. We're going to do a reflection card here, and I've created a foundation of the rocky shores right here. This is this image right here, just kind of a portion of it. Right here, I've kind of used the top portion of it down here, and I've stamped it on a separate piece of paper, cut it out and applied it to this piece of silver mirrored foil cardstock. And then this same area right here is stamped up here. And as you can see, that will be kind of the far shoreline reflected into the foil, like it's water or something like that. And then here's this kind of forested area kind of leading up to the water's edge. And then we have the trees reflecting down on the water. But what this one's going to be about is I want to do this figure here from one of the new sets. And I thought about maybe like her right here, or maybe this one standing right on that little bluff right there, and that would turn these into maybe some gigantic sequoias or something like that, just due to the size. Maybe her, actually. And to add to the drama of the piece, I thought we would use the lightning in the background like that. I want to make sure that that bottom portion is not too dark, though, because I want that figure to stand out really well right here. And we have to have that silhouette kind of reflecting down here, so you don't want to have anything too dark right behind it. So when I stamp this out, I'll try to transition this going from darker tones up top here to lighter ones down below. I do that in the density of the dots in the design itself, but what we'll do is we'll kind of wipe off some of that ink as well to kind of dry it so it doesn't stamp out too dark, and thus the lady will stand out in contrast against that, hopefully. Let's see how it turns out. All right. The top portion that I'm going to be doing the stamping on is a piece of quarter-page semi-gloss cardstock. Okay, you can do it on whatever you want, though, with kind of the media that we'll be using to color it with. Okay, now this all kind of sky figures, or any kind of image, matter of fact. But the sky figures especially, what you do is you kind of wipe off the edges like this. You're not wiping off all of the ink, okay? But what you're doing is removing some of the ink so that you don't get this harsh rectangular shape when you stamp it out. You want it to seamlessly flow to the perimeter, out into the the surrounding area. You don't want these harsh lines in your pieces. Yeah, I mean, that's if you're not filling it in with additional like hard clouds or anything, in which case you wouldn't need to do that. But this one's just kind of going to be probably an isolated impression of this lightning. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be adding a bunch of things around it, additional cloud forms. Okay, so we've removed quite a bit of ink right there, and that's where that figure is going to be. So I really want this to transition off right down here, really in this last 1.5 inches or so of the stamp, okay? So you can see how much ink I've removed. I've removed quite a bit. And that's just for this one right here. I have this little spot in here. Normally when I'm doing this in the sky, I'll fill in with some additional tone around it, but nothing too much in this one. And hopefully this will add to kind of the dramatic, whatever, atmosphere or essence of the visuals here. Hello, Linda and Candy. How are you? I love the lightning stamps, Candy, especially in. I used to do this before I was doing reflective types of materials. I would always do the lightning above a lake or something like that, and then flip it upside down and have it coming from underneath, as a reflection. Okay, we're going to do this all in black and white here, and I'll add in some additional tones. So see that zero kind of line around here. So see how seamlessly that kind of just blends in with that surrounding area right there when you just take the time to dab off some ink around it. So, give it a good dabbing around on the perimeter, and then go in and take out that edge pretty good, but don't do that with a wet paper towel, otherwise you're going to remove all of the ink. And then when you remove it, it's going to leave another, really harsh line. So it's just kind of wet in the middle and dry on the side, and thus leading to a nice perimeter, I guess, I don't know, non-impression almost. It's given an impression, but just really a lighter one. Lighter in value, I'm talking about, not lighter in pressure or something like that. All right, now you don't always have to, if I'm doing a different color sky, you can do this in whatever colors you want. Blues, purples or something like that. You can do all kinds of different jewel tone colors and have that lightning kind of casting that colored light in your landscape. But this one's going to be, I want this one to be in the spirit of, kind of like an old sepia print, maybe, turn of the century, 1920s, 30s type of thing. Those pictorialists, photographers were really doing some pretty cool stuff. So I want it to kind of look antiqued in a way, in spirit at least. All right, let's see. I have to get the gist of using these stamps, yeah. First time use for most of these. Okay, let's see. Let me get the vertical on this one too. All right. I think that looks good right there. And her feet go down right there. So I don't want to stamp it too high. It's going to look like she's kind of levitating. I don't know. Maybe it'd be cool for some pieces, but I don't want her to be levitating in this one. What happened to my black pad that I just had? Oh, here we go. I'm just stamping these in dye-based inks here. Again, just use whatever you want. This isn't really a technique-based card, but more of a kind of a formatted, formatting one. If you're going for something like this, top portion can be done in any type of material as you want. Okay, let's see. Okay. I'm going to position her right now because, a lot of times I stamp my figures in as the last, step in the process, just so that they're really nice and crisply stamped out. But I really want her in this piece so that I can see how much space she's going to be taking up, because I really want to have a kind of her light around her. Okay, I don't want it to get too dark, because in this instance, when it comes to reflection cards, you don't have to worry about it if you're just doing a card like that, and that would be cool too. But when you're doing a reflection card like this, that silhouette and the contrast between objects that you really want to stand out down there, you have to kind of leave it with a kind of a wider contrast of lights and darks typically. for the reflection to read really good. Because after all, this is like silver cardstock. It's not like a mirror. So it's reasonably mirrored, but not, you know, like perfectly. So if you really cut down the contrast, like is this gray right here against her, you can see she's just not going to stand out as much in that reflected area. And the reflected areas are really fun and dynamic like that. So anyway, speaking of that, let's see. Oh, never mind. I was going to take a look and see what this looked like against those horses, but I've already kind of tacked them down in that piece from last night. Hello, Caroline. How are you? Okay, so let's get this heat set here, and we'll start coloring this in. Okay, so once again, kind of a more kind of minimalist, warm-toned color scheme on this one. I'll get some brown tones out, a la an old-fashioned sepia, however way you pronounce that print. Let's see, maybe a little bit of a reddish tinge. Some of that is in my pens that I was using last night too, the warm grays, at least in this shuttle art pack. It's, yeah, that's like not gray at all. I don't know what color that is. It's more of like a rose, I don't know, tinge in there. But let's go, let's see, let's go with some colored pencils first in here. Or, I don't know, maybe I should do, here, I changed my mind. Let's do some grayscale shading in here first, just to kind of direct our lighting a little bit. Before we go in there with the colored pencils and alcohol markers, inks, just because the wax in these pencils, colored pencils, and the alcohol, they'll kind of start sealing off the surface, and it won't really allow me to put like gray tones in there very easily afterwards, where you can do the gray tones first, or the water-based media first, and then the other media will stick to it just fine. Let me see if I have a London Fog re-inker here. My Memento inks. I thought I had one here, but I'm not seeing it. Is this it? Here we go. Okay, this London Fog, I'm looking at it right now. I think it had a little bit of a greenish tinge to it, which is not really what I want here, because I want it a little bit warmer, but they'll just have to merge and kind of blend. I'll try to, you know, go more towards those warm tones. Okay, I'm going to use this a little bit minimally here. Minimally, because it's a little bit darker than what I thought it would be. It's probably picking up some of the black from my inks here, but we'll go from darker on the sides to lighter in the middle area. Okay, let's go like this. I'll leave some light on my trees. Careful not to get too dark around my figure. Again, more so because it's, you know, a reflection card. If I'm just doing this as just a straight scene on a card, where I don't have to worry about reflected types of objects, then I'm doing this in a little bit of a different manner. Okay, let's see. Hope everyone's having a nice weekend. It goes too fast. If you're in the US, we have I don't know, it's a holiday for a lot of people. I think some school districts, when my son was he's in college now, so he doesn't get the whole week off, but a lot of the school districts got the entire week off. All right, so pretty quick work of that area in there like that. You can see what it's going to look like. It's going to get that feel right now, I think. It's always kind of hard to tell with like one coat or something like that. But you can kind of get the gist of the maybe the spirit of the piece, unless you're going like super, super dark and the first coat isn't really providing very much darkness at all, But yeah, kind of the lighting scheme and everything like that can be revealed just with your, in this case, it's kind of the base coat layer. Okay, toning in this bottom area down here, but I'm leaving a lot of the tops of these tufts or whatever light to look like it's representing the reflected light down in this foreground area. It looks like that figure's conjuring that storm. All right, so let me see. Did I use some of that? Here, let me use a little bit more of this gray. I have a couple different grays. I have the London Fog Memento and then the Marvy gray. The Marvy gray is a little bit darker than the London Fog. I don't know if it'll look like it here. Just because I think that London Fog picked up some of that black from the impressions, even though I heat set it. Yeah, it's getting a little bit darker. Okay. My pad is completely toast. It's like concave here due to the sponge kind of breaking down. But I just kind of use it for dabbing, a paper towel into, or a sponge to pick up that ink. So they have like another life, of a. I don't know how many impressions I used to stamp out with that pad, but I don't use that for that purpose anymore. If I ever did with the gray, I don't know. I didn't stamp too many images in gray. All right, let's see here. I'm trying to think. I guess that's it. That's all I really need with the that dye-based ink. Let's go in and let's start warming things up a little bit. With some pens. Before I go too much with that alcohol ink, let's use the colored pencil. Maybe I should use the colored pencil first. This is almost like resisting the the waxy colored pencil applications. Daytona 500. It started again after rain. Ah. Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched any kind of auto racing of any type at all. Used to. I mean, it's a different type, but I remember going to the Long Beach Grand Prix when I was living in Long Beach. Back in those days, it seems like Al Unser Jr. was like, I don't know. It was like a yearly kind of thing. You just won them all in Long Beach. All right, so adding in that tinge of warmth in there, like so. I'm just kind of adding a really light application. Going a little bit heavier in the shadows, but keeping in mind I do have these other colors to come, so I don't want to go too heavy on it because I'll build up too heavy with the initial color, because what'll happen is it'll build up too much of a it did too much buildup with one color, and then it's like I can't really use these other colors on here because there's not enough tooth. Everything's kind of sealed off with those initial coatings of wax, colored pencil colors. All right, kind of getting a little bit brighter. It's a little bit more warmth, the harder I use this pencil and apply more of that tone down, it's a little bit, or it's quite a bit more, whatever, vibrant. All right, I think that, let's see. Right. Do the same down here. I don't want to forget this lower portion. One little tweak that I did down here before if anyone didn't catch that, here, I mentioned this. I cut this piece out of this piece of paper and put it down here, but in order to get those extra little textures in those rocks, before I glued this down on top, I pre-stamped those little tiny rocks down here just so I can get it in there. If I tried to put a stamp in here, now I couldn't get it into those spaces in there, so you got to stamp that out. Those little textures first, okay? See them right in here, and then glued on top, okay? With these warmer tones, right before I was logging on here, I started thinking, maybe I should have done this lower portion in gold instead. Gold, mirrored foil. Just because of these kind of warmer tones. It might go with a sepia kind of looking, warmer, color scheme, better than silver. And when you do it in gold down below, too, this portion, gold foil, it'll reflect golden light back up top here, too, because the light's hitting this and reflecting up here. So it's, the imagery is reflecting down, but that warm light would be reflecting up. So sometimes in warmer tinged pieces, gold really is, pretty fun to use and really effective. Hello, Hallie. How are you? 29 degrees. Snow. Holly, have you been all over Wyoming state? You've caught, the what is that range of mountains? Okay, I can't even think of them right now. Is it the Tetons or whatever? That's one of those things. I didn't, when I got out to Wyoming and Idaho. Those are a couple different areas that I thought, that would be really cool if I was able to take a couple days extra off and just kind of travel around the state a little bit and check out some natural sights. But I just, I don't know. I didn't get around to it. I only made it to Wyoming once, and I think Idaho once. When I was in Idaho, I was just in Boise. And then Wyoming, I was just in Cheyenne for I don't know, it was like overnight, I think. But that was after a long kind of trip up through Colorado. I think I I think I taught in Fort Collins and a couple areas in Denver or something like that. And Cheyenne was my last stop. All right, so there's some warm tones down there. Again, retaining some lighter areas on tops of those little tufts, okay? So when you're coloring, if you're coloring and lighting at the same time, it just simply means to not color fully your objects, okay? Or if you still light it, but don't color the darker tones up on, the top surfaces of objects. Ah, your hubby took you to the drag races. That's cool. Was that off the was that off in um well, the drag races weren't in Irvine, right, Candy? I was gonna say, was it off the what's that Long Beach Freeway? Oh, I forgot. I thought there was a race area in I can't remember the name of the city now. I'm starting to forget all these different types of things. Look at that right there. Look at those colors. Are they starting to bring those areas together like that? Coloring this area right in there really anchored that area. It's looking real kind of three-dimensional. Don't be afraid of reflection cards, folks. The reflection card. This looks okay, as a card or whatever, or a statement. I'm not done with it yet either. But this is just a piece of silver foil with that little thing on there. But look how that really kind of adds to the whole, I don't know, whatever three-dimensional aspect of it. Drama. Yeah, it's just such a little feature. And plus, people are usually making cards anyways. You're just throwing this on the inside. Instead of having it on the outside of the card, open it up like that. Or you can do an opening card like this. This would be really cool too if you had something like service down here. You don't end the objects right up here, but wouldn't this be cool if this is on the outside of a card? And then, I don't know, there's stuff down here, and then there's just all sky, but then they flip it up like that, and there's a continuation of the sky up there. That would be kind of cool. So it's another one of those little kind of surprisey things that you can throw into the, and take advantage of the, the card format. All right, let's see, the card base format. Let's see. Okay, here, let me go in with a little bit more of the colored pencil here, some variation. Darker brown than this one right here, this first one that's all in here. So I'll kind of use this darker brown on the opposite sides of the tree from our light source, like this. It doesn't read as brown when I'm putting it over, these grays and, everything out here, but it just gives a little bit of a richer grayscale tone, I guess. Value scale, whatever. Kind of making the shadow come down this way a little bit. And then hitting the shadow areas in here. I'm just kind of going over the black. It doesn't, I'm not changing the black to brown by putting it over it. But again, it just kind of adds to a little bit of a richer tone in those areas like that. This little kind of the shadow area like that and light like that. I think that was, I didn't do that purposely, but I think it looks pretty good. I think when I stamped it out, it was a little bit kind of varied on there because I kind of wiped off some of the ink off the bottom, but that kind of harsher line looks pretty good. The shadow wouldn't go that way, but I don't know. It's like reflected light coming up. So sometimes when things kind of unexpectedly happen, it might not be what we intended, but sometimes you can, you can just kind of like double down on it and make it look kind of more intentional. Or you can emphasize it. I mean, you can de-emphasize it too. Sometimes we want to get rid of things, but, sometimes things like that really contribute to the overall look, you know, be it unexpected or not, or whatever. Can I get the cozy cabin right by itself? It's only on the sets, Holly. Most of the latest designs, they're just all in set form. If you do start doing the one thing about rubber stamp making, rubber stamps specifically, not really the clear stamps, but you have to get engravings made. So, you know, the Cozy Cabins series and all those sets have like a ton of stamps on them. Individually, that stamp would probably cost, I don't know, almost $7, but for the full set, it's like $18.50 unmounted. And it's because if you have that made, all those stamps individually made, it's $100 a plate, and that's for a small plate, you know, where I can only get like 2 of those on there. So it's usually, well, those ones would be a 9x12, so that'd be a $200 plate just to get that one design into production. You fill in with some other stamps around it on a plate, but it's pretty much, it's really expensive per design to do that. So I give people kind of like a, I don't know, these days they're getting like twice as many stamps in set form. And it's just, you know, it's due to the startup thing, cost of individual stamps. All right, so this is black right here. So we're really kind of deepening the shadows. I'm not going out too far out here. Maybe this is a little bit too light. I can kind of bring in some of this a little bit like that. So this right in here, when I talk about kind of bisecting areas of light, I don't mean like cutting it in half completely, but you can kind of come into it like this. You can drag in, you know, just a little bit of tone. And I usually do it from the darker edge in like this, which is darker out here, and then lighter in the middle like this. Okay, so you darken it out here, and then you transition it. When you're coming from the other side, you do this right here. Darker, okay, and thicker to lighter like that. So you have these things coming in like that, and that's what you see right here, okay? And see this little point right here? To integrate those types of things into a scene, what you do is you just kind of add a little bit of a tail to it like that, okay? So see this right here? When you're coming in from this way, and then you're coming in from this way, I don't want to come in right here and meet up with this one, okay? But see this right here, what you've done is instead of this area of light, which it still is, you've created this extra little passageway right here where you're coming in. I've been talking about this a little bit more recently, but see this right here, this is the passageway. You're coming in here like this. So it's like this little S curve. See how it goes like that? And this little entryway in here, it's a little bit more of a ride for a person rather than just kind of looking at it right there. You enter in through this little passageway. So, and it kind of leads up into there like that. So it's going like this, and then she's going up. You get the trees going up too, and then this is coming back down. So it's like this little, you know, whatever, visual passageway, trail, whatever you want to call it, tour, I guess. That, you know, I mean, you don't have to add those little things in there, but those are those little subtle things, you know, that can add, you know, another, you know, little, whatever, a couple % extra kind of visual interest to your pieces. And then, you know, collectively, they all kind of add up. All right, so I'm kind of closing this off a little bit more at the top, like this. With this black. I'm kind of starting to, well, I was going to say I'm starting to run out of kind of applicable, whatever, application ability, but no, I don't know. Black's getting, This black, the Prismacolor black is pretty soft, luckily, so that it can still apply over the top of these really coated areas, or I don't know, whatever, heavily coated areas, especially on this semi-gloss cardstock. Okay, that. Now I wish I could do like similar things right on top of this foil and add these nice little applications of it, light applications, but we can't. Maybe that's better, the cards come out faster when I can't do there's limitations to the surface, so you can kind of just do them minimally. Makes for a faster card, I guess. Okay, so just kind of adding a little bit of a grayscale down here. It's just like this, I don't know, whatever, 15% gray maybe, into those darker areas, rounding the forms off slightly more, like that. All right, let's see what that looks like. That. The spirit of the spirit of the wild. All right, let's see. Let's add a little bit more texture into the piece. I'm going to use my StazOn because I have a lot of colored pencil work down here. So going from dark in the darks areas and then coming into the open area, the lighter area in here with a lighter impression. So again, like this, it's going from dark to light. So, here straight up. And so you're going like this, but you also do it, you can do that same type of thing with your impressions just by, the multiple impressions of it. Off one inking. Okay, here, let me see right here. It's the Grand Tetons in Wyoming, right? Yeah, the Tetons, yeah. Wind River. Wind River. I don't think I've heard of that one. Okay, let's see. Fort Collins, yeah. Are you in the like the Cheyenne area? I forget the name of that. I don't know how long have you been stamping, Holly? I'm trying to remember. I had clients in Wyoming periodically. Never like too many at the same time though. But boy, that Colorado area between Colorado Springs and Fort Collins, and then a huge amount. It seemed like every small city in the Denver area had a store at one point in time or another. All right, let's look at this right here. I think we're ready for some additional texturing in here. Let's go with, let me hit it with a little bit of the acrylic ink first. I like my lighting pretty good just as is, but maybe we can add some little bit of sparkle through this area down here. Yeah, that there was that chain of stores in Colorado as well. It was a small chain, but they might have had about 4 locations, I think. And I think Uptown Rubber Stamps was in Colorado. One of the first rubber stamp stores, just period, was the Happy Stamper in the Cherry Creek, is that the name of it? Area of Colorado. She was there real early on, probably in the early 90s. And I just remember that because I taught there at that store. But yeah, that was a big stamping area. Catheel? Is that how you pronounce that? I'm butchering people's names. That's a cool name. Thanks for joining in. Glad you like it. Orange County Internet. Oh, in Irvine. Host a drag rating event. That's cool. I wonder where that was. Is it where? I wonder if that was where. That's probably where like the. I don't know where that would actually. I don't know where that would be in Irvine. I was thinking of when you said that. I was thinking of Tustin just now. It's probably where like the Pacific Amphitheater and stuff like that was later built. Maybe. Okay, so we've added tone from the outside in. Let me see how far I can zoom in here. Ah! I can't zoom in too far. Okay, restarting here. Sorry about that. The software, I don't know, I can't zoom in too far. Like on just a pre-recorded one. Otherwise, I don't know. The camera goes nuts. So we've added tone going in from dark to lighter in here. So when you're adding light, you go from lighter, which means a few more dots, to less, like that, okay? So a little bit more. Like I'm adding a lot where you can't even see it. So I'm kind of getting like my little practice in, and then I taper it out, which means you just kind of space it out a little bit more. These little dots here. Okay, and then see these areas that I've left a little bit of lightness like this. What you can do is you can go in and you can almost do that, whatever that, that lineless style of stamping. Now, I don't have lines on my stamps to begin with, but when you start coloring it in like that, you can just kind of go in and add that little touch of highlighting on the top if there is like a small line in there. Okay, so see this right here? I'll just add this right on the top, and it looks like this illuminated whatever, little slope or rock or something like that. Here's some rocks right over here. Okay, like that. See, it kind of brings these areas to life a little bit more by having that sparkle. And then when you have like bright, striking light like that with like a lightning bolt, because we're not working with light, we're working with contrast. So having that light, here I'll go into this tree. I'll just add a few little highlights on the side of this. I'll kind of break it up a little bit because like one line like that isn't going to look good. It'll look like it's I don't know, like I don't know what LED lighting nature, something like that. But see, there's little lines like that, just kind of catching that light. That's a little bit strong, maybe. It might be a little bit too much, but I'll soften it up with some white pigment ink here. But see this right here? I'm just kind of putting in that line like that on the side of the tree. Now it looks really kind of weird because these other trees don't have it. So we'll come in like this, and I'll just kind of break up a little bit of a lighting like that on that side of that tree. And this one right here, it's a little bit more in the dark, so maybe I'll have a little bit less lighting on it, like that. Okay, it's a little bit strong. It will dry darker than what that looks right there, though. Okay, and let's do something here too. Here, this is kind of like it's like a whimsical type of, I don't know, whatever situation here with this woman like conjuring or whatever that storm. So I'm going to put these little glowing little orbs in here. They kind of add a fun little touch. Oh, this would be cool. This would be kind of interesting. I have those Floating lanterns. You can put some. I can put some floating lanterns down in this water. I would cut them out and I'd glue them down there, but like these warm little glowing lanterns in this pond, this might be a good composition for it. But these little things down here, I'll make them glowing with some pigment ink as well. Okay, let's see. Lighting on tops of these little areas right in here. I'll show you what this looks like before, okay? Like that. It looks okay. But adding these little areas like this in here. You notice how I'm coloring kind of like off to the side? Because if I have it like this is like an awkward kind of thing. This is upright. That's how people tend to work, upright all the time, but it's much easier if I flip it this way. And then see, my hand naturally goes this way. So I always turn my card in a way that's conducive for the mark that I want to make. And sometimes when you do it like this too, you're kind of, you're looking at your pieces from a different perspective too. So you might be a little bit more objective sometimes, Like I'm not thinking about this in terms of a tree. I'm just looking at it in terms of an object when it's like sideways. Or I'm looking at something upside down, Sometimes you're able to see things more objectively than that way, than thinking of everything that you're doing some mark on. And thus, whatever, it influencing, how you're coloring it or something like that, when it's just kind of an object that you're shading or adding light to. Okay, so they call that drawing on the right side of the brain from Betty Edwards' book. Okay, I'm going to create a little bit more of a transition into this water area right here by putting on a little bit of a stronger shoreline right there, shadow, okay? Like that. See that right there? It looks like it's going off into the water a little bit more with that little slope like that. Okay, let's go in and add in those little extra touches here. My coloring stinks. I had to take a break, but I'm enjoying making black and white cards. Holly, that's the best way to do things, if you have your values down, okay, meaning if you have control of dark and light, and nothing reveals that more than working in monochrome or grayscale, okay? Because it really emphasizes. Now this is like barely toned in. This is, in a sense, it's kind of like a grayscale piece. It's just like warm grays and cooler grays up top, or greenish grays. But that's what I'm mostly doing, in my pieces. I might be doing different colors in different areas, okay? Like in here it's blue tones, but it's basically light blue, darker blue, okay? Up in these, so I'm thinking down here it's warmer browns and darker browns like underneath the lip of that wave. So I'm really just thinking in terms of values for the most part. So what you do is if you're doing your pieces, green grasses or something like that, you get darker greens in the shadows and lighter greens in the lights like that, But that's where I come from. I'm a black and white illustrator, okay? I like black and white things. I'll use color, because you can really kind of tweak like emotional types of things in color, in certain colors, in a way that you can't do with grayscale. Grayscale has its own kind of emotional qualities to it, but they're different, because, there's no temperature in just straight grayscale. But if you get that grayscale down, that's like really, really a big foundational thing to color. Sometimes you can do color, but when you have color with a really good foundation of lighting and grayscale underneath it, it really stands out a lot more. So I'll do like you know, a lot of colored pieces, foils and things like that. But for me, I've been doing this for a long time, but I always go back to grayscale because it kind of like hones my eye for it a little bit more, especially if I don't do it for a little bit. And sometimes when I do it, I think, man, I could just, you know, I can even just have fun only doing grayscale or black and white, you know. But that's me. Most people like color. So I do things in color, you know. I'm liking color more and more, especially with the different foils and metallics. I love metallics though, colored metallics though, I'd have to say. Okay, so see these little glowy little things like that? Those are really fun to do. And it kind of adds a little visual interest in those areas. Let me see if those reflect down in the water. Yeah, they kind of reflect down in the water too. Adding extra texturing and visual interest and contrast to those darker areas like that. Hello in Maine, Harold the Hodgkins. Your mount sets are the best. Okay, so I was thinking about you guys. You guys said you what was it? You're scared of doing the reflection cards, the stamping on foils. So here's a real easy one right here. You just cut out your objects and glue them to the foil like that instead. But you shouldn't fear it either, though. One of those commandments in rubber stamping, right? Is thou shalt not fear techniques. Okay, so I've lightened up the bottom of this tree a little bit. When I stamped it out, okay, I removed some ink off of it and I stamped it out so it's going from darker to lighter like that. And then I kind of reiterated that whole thing with the coloring, but let's go in and reiterate that lighter area down below, okay? Like this with some additional white pigment ink, like that. And then that adds a little bit more, I don't know, kind of a richer texture than just simply removing ink off of it, which I like doing too, but you know, I do like this additional ink on there like that. So it's like this lighting is coming around the corner like that. Let's put it right here too. Okay. Let's go down here. Remember, when you're doing this, you just have very little ink on here. See this right here? I don't know how many taps that was. It's like, okay, it's like 20 taps, and it's that much ink there, okay? You don't want to try to get it in like one tap or something like that. If you do, you're working with a lot of ink on there, okay? So it's like more like you're applying like a powdery amount of it, like dust or something like that. And see this right here? I'm kind of turning this tree in space. What they mean by that is it looks like it's more like dimensional. It's rounding off around the corner by illuminating it like that. But it's also kind of adding, it's softening it too, like that. So the tree looks a little bit more round like that just by putting some ink on the side like that. Okay, now see her right here. Let's put her kind of more into the scene, okay? And you do that by kind of wrapping some light around her. So it's really easy to do. You can just do this on like a lot of different objects, but see that black ink? So you can barely see it right there, okay? I'm just tapping very lightly. What happens is people, when they don't see anything in a couple taps, they think they need to press hard and it's like blob of ink, you know? And if they get that, you just wipe it off, okay? Because it doesn't dry instantly. But see, doesn't she seem more integrated into the scene now with this light kind of coming around? So it's like they're being enveloped in this soft passage of light right in here. Like this, and then here, right on these bolts here. Let me see, let me transition on a little bit right here. But see this right here, this lightning bolt right here? Let's go back to that Q-tip here. Or whatever, cotton swab, I don't know if it's a Q-tip right here. I'll take this, but here, I'll fray this a little bit. I'll loosen it up a little bit, okay? If you want a soft application, then use a soft applicator, right? So kind of fray it a little bit. Maybe that's too frayed. Pat down a little bit. This one already has the side that has some pigment ink on there. Okay, we'll go like this. Now, let's go into like a couple of these, or maybe one of the bolts. Like the main bolt is right here, down the center. And then maybe that's like not enough ink. I haven't re-inked this pad in a while. Let's see. Here we go. There we go. But see, this kind of, it's adding that soft kind of bolt right down the center. So what we're doing is we're giving, even within this cluster of bolts right here, maybe the strongest one is the most, well, casting the strongest illumination, okay? But see, this kind of, it's a nice textural change. It looks like it's glowing now too, like that. Now, I think it looks more effective by having some of it like that and then none of it. Or, yeah, you can do two of them or whatever. But just having that textural change in there kind of changes the spirit of that piece a little bit more. And it looks like it's glowing too. It's one of those things in rubber stamping where you can have some soft essence in there rather than just crisp impressions everywhere, crisp, you know, coloring and everything like that. These little softer elements like that are really nice to add in there. From a textural standpoint, it's really just real comfortable to the eye having softer things to look at as well as really crisp and sharp. But then you leave the crisp and sharp in there to create contrast between the softer ones because the soft areas look softer, and the crisp areas look crisper, like that. It's just same thing with light and dark and everything like that. So anyway, there's your card like that. This will get spray mounted onto the interior like that. Do I have a piece of gold foil? Here's a piece of gold foil like this. I'm just kind of curious to see what this gold one would look like right in here. It looks pretty good too, I think. I don't know if it's too strong. See, this right here reflects some gold light back up into here too, so it changes the look of it. See that right there? See those yellow tones right in here? Now this right down, I would put that other piece down there too, but I don't know what one looks better. There is a certain warmth to that gold though, isn't there? It's a little bit less reflective because it's darker, but you get the warmth of the gold in there and the gold lighting. I really like that reflective gold up here there though too. I mean, if we can try to just add that in there too, you know, after I see that and that, it looks a little bit sterile by contrast. But this one's more articulate. You get more of those details. Like I can see these little rocks reflecting from up here. This little, whatever, 15% grayscale rock. I can see that very clearly in the foil, the silver foil like that. So anyway, there you go, like that. And we'll put some other, I'll put some other type of quote out here probably. And then when someone opens this up, you know, it's an exciting little thing, you know, for the recipient of your card to see that. It's kind of like a card in motion as well as like a little diorama. Mount sets are the best. You like those mount sets, huh? There's hardly any, there's hardly any stores anywhere, Holly. I mean, there used to be a decent number of like stamp stores, and then there were a gazillion independent scrapbooking stores, of course. And now, I don't know, like most of the scrapbook stores that outnumber the stamping stores by probably, I don't know, whatever, nationwide, it was probably 10 to 1 at least, right? Independent retailing, which is the, such a great part of this industry. Someone IM'd me on Facebook talking about, they used to teach, they used to be a teacher at one of the, at a stamp store. And, I don't know, we just like couple IMs back and forth. But yeah, it was like we were just saying, yeah, how much fun the stores used to be with the live workshops. Lyndon's in here, with the store teaching, and the Hodgkins have Penn Ventures out in Maine. But they tied the stamping community together, if not created it. All the creative types of gatherings for their given area. But that's what's missing in this industry these days. Luckily, we have the online, thankfully for that, but it is different being kind of in person, isn't it? The Cozy Cabin set and the Moose set, oh, those are pretty good ones. I'm using those all the time. Those were a couple of those things. It's like I needed more of that type of larch tree, so we can add a lot of different colors in there. But yeah, those moose ones are the ones that, with those types of things that on a set, what I do is I just, I kind of have all the designs kind of ready to go. And then when I start laying out the sets, if I have like extra space in there, that's when you do like another design, or you do those moose to put around those other larger types of objects. Then if you have a lot, even more space, it's like, okay, let's do this moose in water in 2 different sizes. Let me flip it so it's left and right, so you're really getting it really packed. My rubber guy, I keep thinking, okay, I don't know how much he's going to take, with me. I mean, like a set like this, with all that cutting that they have to do. I don't know. So far, he's not like screaming at me, though, for doing a set like that. That's a huge amount of labor, because it's not like a die cut where they're just stamping all those out, like in one, whatever, thrust of the machine. They're cutting each one of those out individually on a scroll saw, which is like a little jigsaw type of thing. So you can imagine that someone running around there, you know what I mean? It's like someone, textiles or something like that, working on some kind of like clothes or something like that. But, there's a gazillion of these little stamps that I'm filling in these little pockets on the plate these days. Hello, Julia. How are you? Let's see. That's right. Work till you can't. Won't throw any away. I love that black and white illustrations in children early youth books. I love picture books. Caroline, what was that? The picture books in the, I don't know if it was in the late 80s, the Chris Van Allsburg ones, were the ones that, he kind of opened things up to a lot of different types of illustration styles too. And when I think about some of those picture books like that, yeah, really fantastic work. The Man Who Planted Trees, I like the black and white illustrations in there. I don't know if they're scratchboard or if they're wood block, but those ones are really cool. Yeah. Wood-mounted rubber stamps. Good times with the wood-mounted rubber stamps. I was telling someone's, that same person that taught, that I was just mentioning, that they IM me, they've been living on those, I think those cruises where you kind of like live on them practically. But she wanted to get back into stamping. I think that's what she said, or she took a break or something like that. But she's going to be unmounting, her wood-mounted Stampscapes, so that she can take it on the ship with her, with lack of space. But that's a good way to go with, you know, on the cruise ship. Black and White's still one of my favorites. Yeah, yeah, you did that black and white piece fairly recently too, huh, Linda? And you made the comment about, yeah, this is like so much faster, you know. Hello, S. Cooper. Good to see you. Thanks for checking out the scene here. Card. We used to have online. Yeah, yeah. I do miss the gatherings there a lot. The retreats were awesome. The workshops were awesome. Conventions too. We used to get around to the whole convention circuit around the country. Um, so much harder to do those types of things at some point in time. Not even just recently. For me, it was, I don't know, it was like 15 years ago. Just getting stuff around. I would, I don't know, shudder to think about how transportation would be these days too. We used to consolidate, as far as conventions went, all of the booth things, your displays and everything like that, and supplies and materials, office boxes, cash register, everything like that used to go in these like metal cages, and I'd ship it around. I wouldn't go to any of the shows where Stamp of the Hand and Judykins weren't going, because they're the ones that were coordinating all that. And Judykins had all those cages, but that must be, I wouldn't be surprised, from 20 years ago, I don't know, 17, 18 years ago. I stopped doing so many shows like that, but shipping must be 3 times as much, I would guess, from back then. And it was already really expensive back then, even consolidating with maybe like 5 other companies with a shipping company. So, someone needs to invent those like Star Trek transporters or something like that. That we can get around and get around to different areas like instantly. Glad you like it, Julia. Yeah, I wanted to do something like this. So I wanted to do something like this little conjuring type of thing in a dramatic type of setting. I want to do her. I think she would look really great next to the ocean. I have several of those here. Like, with like the extreme kind of wind and, blowing or something like that. Can you imagine like, having her right here and like waves in the foreground or something like that? Oh, so I have the, like the lighthouse, but the light, not the rocks and waves stamp. I'm going to use some of those rocks and waves stamp like down here and have her up on like a bluff, like out in the wind at night or something like that. I can't wait to try some of these other things out here. These what are dramatic, pictorialist. Not really Maxfield Parrish. He would have like some kind of woman lounging right there, not under lightning or something like that. But these figures in landscapes, which we've always done, but I've usually had them like doing something like hikers or paddlers or something like this. But this is like, it's like communing with nature types of imagery this time around. That type of whatever spirit, for these pieces. This piece right here, I was talking about context recently in a live stream. But so you take this kind of figure out right here, and you can like put like a zombie in here or something like that. And that would, have a completely different feel to it, having like a zombie walking through here. So this could easily be like a Halloween type of scene or something like that, horrific type of scene. Maybe add like deeper tones or something like that in there. That might be fun. But anyways, let's see what this would look like in a, that doesn't look good. Well, I would tone this out where it's like a, these guys coming to a pond or something like that. Or maybe I would darken them in, get rid of that face there, so it's like they're walking away from the pond. You can do something like that. Or I don't know, for Halloween, like a horror scene, you put that, like the body in the pond, you know, like reclining corpse in the pond, right? Right, Linda, for our Halloween scenes. All right, folks. Hope you like the reflection card here. I really like the spirit of these pieces and how they're looking in here so far. I think it's really fun. The piece last night here that I did. This one's a really quick one because I was using Deanna Tubb Cedillo's background paper, so I don't have to do any coloring up here. It's just you're coloring, you're just stamping. If you don't know what these are, this is like a, she has these quarter page background papers of skies. Okay, so they're like moons, clouds. I think there's daytime and nighttime ones or something like that. What is this right here? 1, 2, 3, 4 impressions. Okay, this one's using the that large piece. This is like one stamp. I just stamped the left and right hand side down there. This right here is the Seaside Cove and a couple impressions down here. But you can even just throw a piece of gold or silver foil down here. Now I would do this one in the silver foil right here with that blue sky like that. But this is what, you know, this piece could look like right there, just with, I mean, this would be like 4 black impressions, and you just throw in this right in here. Be kind of bare down here. I'd kind of stamp something else down here probably. But I mean, it could be, you know, that could be your card right there. You know, open it like that. Down there. See, something like this. See, I don't like this reflection down here of the thing. See, if you put like some kind of like trees or something right in here, it'll cover up the reflection of that quote stamp like that. But that's, you know, we're talking about like a super fast card to do. And, you know, reasonably dramatic like that. So, yeah. Horizon card, reflection card. Reasonably fast. Super fast, you know. We're talking, you can do these in mass production. But anyway, all right, let's see here. Where is your store? Yeah, did they answer? Yeah, West Rockport, Maine. Get over to Penn Ventures in Maine. And then while you're in Maine, after you visit the store, go to Acadia National Park during, try to hit it during when there's color out there and on a weekday so you don't run into the all that riffraff and try to find parking spots all over the place, which, here, okay, I'm trying to put this at an angle so you guys can see it. There you go, like that. And there's the figure like that. Yeah, Maine in the fall. Amazing. Amazing, yeah. All right, have a great rest of evening. And Holly, when you're out in Maine, go to this location right here. It's right. It's like a mile from Penn Ventures. Go this next time. Yeah, go to the store next time you visit your daughter in Maine. That'd be cool. Or next time you're in West Rockport area or driving through there. And eat a lobster roll for me. All right, folks, have a great rest of evening. Thanks again for checking out the card here. Hope you liked it.